The title of this video, too many cautions at Texas. Am I being too negative? I want to know what you guys thought of this race yesterday. 1.5 miles, usually the best racing for NASCAR during the next gen era. Again, I want to hear from you guys. Jump in the comments. Let me know. I thought this race was kind of boring, right? It was saved a little bit, I think, by a really good ending. A lot of cautions, 12 cautions, okay? And I also, look, we're critiquing NASCAR because we're NASCAR fans. And some people say maybe you're complaining too much, but I think everybody wants the best on-track product. And I think sometimes you got to say, what could NASCAR have done differently? What was out of their control? For example, both of the stages ended under caution, right? That's not in NASCAR's control. If you're watching the race, I understand some of you guys don't even like stages. I get that. But if you're looking for the races within a race and each stage ends under caution, that's kind of a bummer. Nothing that NASCAR can control there. Overall, I didn't think there was a ton of passing. I thought till the end, you had some interesting restarts at the end, and we'll get to all of this, all right? Explore America jumping in and starting off with, you can't afford to be a NASCAR fan anymore. You know what, though? Everything in the world, don't you think everything in the world is just getting too dang expensive? Everything, right? Not just professional sports, everything. Maybe we will dive into that further. But, okay. And look, I'm not trying to be overly negative. I think you guys know me. Hopefully, you know me by now. I think I'm pretty fair. So Joey Logano wins the race. And right when Joey Logano wins, first thing I thought of randomly was Chipper Jones. How about that? Chipper Jones, Atlanta Braves, legendary Hall of Fame player. You probably saw last week, Chipper Jones went on X and was chirping pretty hard Joey Logano for MFing his teammate, Austin Cindric, on the radio. And how about Chipper Jones right after the race going to X? So this is after last week. Chipper Jones ripped in to Joey Logano, right? And then Joey Logano responded. Wasn't as biting in his commentary, but basically said, look, what does Chipper Jones know about driving a race car around Talladega, right? So here's Chipper Jones, though, with an olive branch. I think it's fair to say ending this whole little dispute yesterday. After the race, he says, congratulations to Joey Logano, a Hall of Fame driver with a masterful win. This is what NASCAR fans expect from you. Hard-charging wins and gracious top 5s and 10s. Well done. Somebody then responds to him and says, this guy Hollywood Todd says, you backpedaling after all that noise last week? Joey 3X, 3-time champion, will be a Hall of Famer, and he's great with fans. And Chipper Jones responds. We'll get into more, but I think this is interesting. Chipper Jones responds on X. Backpedaling, no. Appreciating a great race and sportsmanship. Hall of Famers are always held to a higher standard and should be. How about that? What did you guys think? Last week, everybody chirping. Chipper Jones chirping at Joey Logano. Joey Logano chirped back. Joey Logano gets the last laugh. He wins the race at Texas. And then Chipper Jones ending it very graciously and saying, hey, congratulations. And we can all move on. One of those little storylines within the storyline, within the race that I find fun. Maybe you guys don't. A little drama never hurts, especially midweek as we're going race to race. What do you guys think? Okay, let's see. Explore America says, I just watch old Winston Cup races on YouTube now. Explore America, NASCAR is impossible to follow. Now I used to be able to, okay, so NASCAR is impossible to follow now. I used to be able to watch it on TNN or NBC. Now I got to have 5 different subscriptions to 5 different networks and a couple apps. Harlan Drake says, just enjoy the race. It is entertainment only. If you have a favorite race from the past, just watch that race over and over again. Let's see. Explore America also saying, the one thing NASCAR has going for itself now is its level of safety. Well, that's good. And by the way, I'm not always trying to jump down NASCAR's throats. I do think from a racing standpoint, they've had a rough month. They've had a rough month. We all know the next-gen car on the short tracks is not the best style of racing with this car. The mile and a halfs are fantastic usually, which I think everybody should be excited for Kansas. I mean, don't you think you can make the argument that Kansas is maybe the best racing we have? I mean, you can throw Phoenix, Homestead. I feel like Vegas is usually pretty good racing, but clearly the mile and a halfs, that's where it's at for NASCAR. I mean, Kansas to me, I understand they can't do this because look, weather comes into play. Kansas would be for me in the rotation for the championship, but you just can't count on weather in early to mid-November in Kansas. But man, the racing at Kansas is freaking awesome. So I think everybody should be excited for next week. But we're talking about Texas now. And again, please get your comments in. Let's see. We got Trucker Cowboy Ed says, as someone who travels, I actually appreciate NASCAR putting the race on more streaming platforms to watch on my phone. Yeah, it's kind of a generational thing also, I believe. Let's see. Chris Morton says, my opinion is NASCAR is starting to be more like open wheel, single lug, not right. You're not liking the single lug nut. We've had that now for 4 years, though. Let's see. Charles F. says, past races had more cautions than this race did, so too many. I don't think so. A lot, but it's Texas. If you're going to race in Texas, you better expect cautions. Sounds like a country song. It does. If you're going to race in Texas, expect a lot of cautions. Right? My thing, too, and I got in a little discussion on X with somebody yesterday. To me, it's not just about the number of cautions. It's more of a feel, right? This is why I said earlier, some bad luck for NASCAR with both stages ending in cautions. If you're somebody who's having the race on in the background, you're kind of always looking up, oh, 7 to go in the first stage. Oh, 9 to go in the second stage. You probably sit down, right? Some people watch the entirety of the race. I get that, and that's great. But if you're watching the end of the stages, and you're like, oh, this one ended in caution. The second one ended in caution. Now, I do think you had some interesting things going on at the end, right? I mean, Denny Hamlin blows up. What do you think of the horns down? Did you like that? Did you notice that in Texas? Horns down. Denny Hamlin, now an Ohio State fan. I've been an Ohio State fan my whole life, so I appreciated the horns down. I think it's kind of fun. Have some fun with that. His engine, he blows up. No good there. But I thought you had some good drama then at the end. I do think this race needed some interesting restarts at the end because I thought the majority of the race was not just the most interesting with a ton of passing and all that. You might say, oh, well, Joey Logano, what did he start? 27th, whatever it is. He comes up. You had a lot of cautions. You had a bunch of DNFs. You did see some good racing at the end there, right? Michael McDowell, you thought Michael McDowell had a chance, and he tries to go block. And then Joey Logano finally passes him. You have some of the big name drivers in the mix at the end. Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney. So give it up to Penske, by the way. So Austin Cindric wins last week. Joey Logano wins this week. Ryan Blaney, I mean, you could make the case, especially early on, Cindric at the super speedways, but Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Penske cars had run really, really well throughout a lot of these races and had some terrible luck. I haven't looked at all the stats lately, but if you looked at the laps led and all that, you had all these Penske cars leading a ton of laps, but not getting the finishes they wanted, right? Not getting the wins. So Ryan Blaney's probably the next. He deserves a win, I would think. You guys would agree with me on that. But so Cindric wins last week. Joey Logano wins this week. The Penske cars, which have been running well, but didn't have the luck. I almost said puck luck. I've been in the hockey mode. The St. Louis Blues lost last night in just terrible fashion. But you have to have puck luck in the NHL playoffs. You have to have a little bit of track luck. You have to have a little bit of escape luck in terms of staying out of the wrecks and all that. And the Penske cars running so well early, but not getting the finishes. Now they're starting to get the wins. Cindric, Logano, and I'm betting. I mean, Ryan Blaney. You're not going to keep Ryan Blaney out of victory lane for too long. He's going to win a race this year, probably multiple. Don't you think? Let's see. Explore America. You are correct, sir. It is generational. That's talking about the TV experience for NASCAR. Remember, hey, you got Amazon Prime coming up. That was the first time I saw the commercial yesterday with Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte talking about the 5 races on Prime, which are what? Coke 600, Nashville, Michigan. I can't remember all of them. There's 5 of them. Coke 600, Michigan, Nashville, Pocono's one of them. Oh, and Mexico City. And there's also a cameo from Chase Elliott there. I thought that was a really cool commercial. Junior, Steve Letarte, driving like an old school hot rod muscle car, and they're talking about the races that they have on Amazon. I thought that was cool. And look, I have kids. I get it. I get it if you're complaining about TV. I've complained about TV a lot. I switch back and forth from DirecTV to YouTube TV, back to DirecTV, kind of chasing the St. Louis Cardinals and Bally Sports Midwest, which is now FanDuel Sports Midwest. And then I totally get what you're saying if you're not liking having all these streaming services. I'm with you. I have kids, and when you have 2 kids under 7, I feel like I almost have to have all the streaming services because there's just at least a show on all of these networks that they like or I like or my wife likes. At this point, I would more easily get rid of cable and just keep all the streaming in terms of what we watch. We hardly ever watch actual TV unless it's a sporting event. We're watching all the shows on Netflix and HBO Max or Max, whatever it's called now, and Hulu and Amazon. I get it. It's frustrating, but it's kind of the world we're living in now. And to me, I mean, what's more valuable than live sports? To me, there's not much else I want to watch besides the big time sporting events. NASCAR, last night it was NHL playoffs. You obviously need cable for that. And I have some shows I like on the different streaming services. But this is also, look, we can all complain about it, and I do too. I feel your pain. Like I said, I chased the Cardinals on 3 different TV programming networks over the last 5 years or so. But this is just the way it's going to be, and it's not changing. So we all kind of just have to adapt to it. Let's see. Craig says the Missouri Mafia is here. Just me, though, in St. Louis. The rest of the Missouri Mafia, the real Missouri Mafia, Kenny Wallace, Ken Schrader, they're on the Kyle Petty charity ride. So there will be no live new episode of Herman Schrader this week. We'll have some really good Kenny conversations. But we have been posting a lot of content, a lot of videos from Kenny along the way on the Kyle Petty charity ride. And then next week, Herman Schrader, they'll tell you all about the cool different museums and the whole charity ride. They started in Traverse City, Michigan, a place I've spent a lot of time. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I had an aunt and uncle, have an aunt and uncle that live in Traverse City. So been there a million times. So Kyle Petty charity ride started in Traverse City. They're driving down. Kenny and them actually started, I think, more close to MIS, to Michigan International Speedway. Then they go up to Traverse City, come back down. They went to the Henry Ford Museum, which is there, I think, Dearborn, Detroit area. Then they're kind of following. They probably went right through my hometown, Toledo, Ohio, then jumped on, whether it's the Turnpike or 80 to go to Cleveland. And this morning they were at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You should check out the video. Kyle Petty jamming, singing with a really good band. What did he sing? He sang Johnny Be Good, another classic old school rock and roll song. I can't remember, but check that out here on the Kenny Wallace YouTube channel. So back to your comments here. We got Herbie. Herbie says about Texas, repave the upper grooves, but leave the bottom as is. Trucker Cowboy Ed, but the new gen car or next gen car always is fun at certain tracks to watch, way better than the Gen 6. Yeah. Truman Lake here from Craig. Is that where you're at or where you live? Yeah, like I said, look, my whole thing is I don't look at it as we're criticizing NASCAR, just bagging on them. To me, I read so many comments from you guys and the old school fans. You just want more racing, right? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for more racing, more passing. And sometimes look at Talladega when you see the end of the Xfinity Series race and there's more passing and more 3 wide, 4 wide there than there is in the Cup Series. I mean, Denny Hamlin said that straight up. He goes, somebody make me a graphic. Somebody make me a video of the last 2 laps of Talladega Xfinity versus Cup. It was obvious, folks. There's way more passing in Xfinity. And I think people just want the top series of NASCAR to have the best overall racing. We know we have the best drivers in Cup, but they want to see the best racing. And I think you fans are definitely smart enough to know sometimes too, when it's 2 lanes and all of a sudden there's a record amount of passing, but really it's just kind of like this. And I hate to always quote Denny Hamlin, but I think he's the most honest about this, right? If it's just passing like this, is that real passing? I think what people want to see, they want to see what they saw at the end of the race yesterday. You saw a fun duel for a while between Joey Logano and Michael McDowell, and Michael McDowell throwing the block. He did everything he could. Joey Logano gets ahead of him. And then what was it with Blaney? He got the dirty air there, and Michael McDowell spins out. But I think, to me, that's what was fun for me. Watching the real racing and the passing, watching Logano pass McDowell. McDowell doing everything he could to hold him off as long as he could, but he couldn't. That's what I think made the race for me yesterday at Texas. I just think overall too many cautions early, kind of boring. Cautions at the stage breaks, but we did have a good finish. I think was there 4 cautions there at the end. Not a lot of green lap runs at the end. So I want to hear from you guys what you thought. And, Jeff Gluck always does his poll. Let's see. Last time I looked, it was kind of 50-50, which I think is fair. I don't think this was a terrible race. I don't think this was a great race. I think it was middle of the pack. So I think a 50-50 type race there. I said no. I'm just being honest. So look, I mean, you can't get basically more 50-50. Was Texas a good race? Yes, 51%. No, 49%. Over 15,000 votes. I think that's very fair, right? And I think it's cool that Jeff Gluck does this, because the people speak, right? The customer is always right. And maybe as customers, NASCAR fans, maybe we complain too much sometimes. I think that's fair. Not every race can be perfect. Not every race can be a photo finish. Not every race can have the amount of cautions you want or the amount of passing. But I think we'd all agree NASCAR needs to clean up the short track package with this car. Super speedways, there's obviously more volatility. So last week you didn't have the big one at Talladega. So maybe some people were disappointed about that. To me, it's not just about the wrecks, though. It's not just about the cautions. It's about the passing. People just want to see racing. Am I wrong? That's what I want to see. That's why I'll keep repeating myself. But to me, the most interesting part at the end was the Logano versus McDowell racing at the end. And you saw it a little bit with McDowell and Blaney, but Logano goes ahead and wins the race. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Trucker Cowboy Ed says, but some tracks have always been boring with little passing sometimes. Richmond used to be pretty boring at times. Let's see. Twisted 420-ish says, Trucker Cowboy, I don't agree with that, but I'm partial to Richmond as a Virginia native, LOL. It's one of my favorite tracks. Yeah, we all have our favorite tracks also. Let's see. Scratch Acker 2019 says, those Fords become rocket ships at the end. What's under their hoods? Well, hey, they passed inspection. Joey Logano didn't last week, as you know, but Joey Logano passes inspection. They win. And look, the Penske's, we know for sure the Penske cars have it figured out, especially at the end of the season. Penske, as we all know, they've won every championship during the next gen era. Logano, Blaney, Logano. And they clearly have something figured out at Phoenix. Now we know Homestead is going to be the championship, next year? But as long as the championship is at Phoenix, the Penske cars, whoever's in there, and last year it was Logano and Blaney, but whatever Penske car is in the championship for has to be the favorite, don't you think? Let's see. Okay, going after Kenny Wallace there. Let's see. I'm not going to put that up there on this channel. You can come after me, all right? Let's see. Kimmy Walrus says, how much racing was going on in the Daytona 500 that Earnhardt was leading before he hit the Seagull? I'd guess the Gluck poll went from 95 to 15 when he fell out of the lead. 95 to 5. Yeah. Jeff Gluck's poll, how long has he done this? The last 10 years or so? Yes. Kimmy Walrus. Racing is not two cars riding side by side, bro. Is that at me? Are you coming after me for that? That's what I'm saying. You know, and Denny Hamlin always jokes about this. To me, if you have two lanes and the left lane, the right lane kind of always go, oh, this guy's leading. This guy's leading. This guy's leading. This guy's leading. Come on. That's not the real passing we're talking about. So, Kimmy, I think you agree with me, unless you're coming after me, which is fine. Please explain. Let's see. Explore America. As long as NASCAR continues towards cookie cutter, ARCA and the Cars Tour will grow exponentially. Yeah, Cars Tour is great. ARCA is great, especially with what Cletus McFarland has brought to ARCA and all the attention there. You know what's interesting about Cletus McFarland? I think a lot of people, he's, 30 years old? I think a lot of people assume that he's only bringing the younger crowd to NASCAR and ARCA. But as somebody who, I run this channel, so I see all of your comments, and I try to reply and comment and heart and like them all and whatever. That is not the case that Cletus McFarland is just with the younger generation. I have seen so many comments from old school NASCAR fans, not just people in their 40s, 50s. I'm talking 60s, 70s. People have said, look, I was a big NASCAR fan in the 90s or 2000s. I was a Dale Earnhardt fan. I was a Jeff Gordon fan. I left NASCAR for whatever reason. I found Cletus whenever that was during COVID. And I think he's had a channel for a long time. I'm not sure. But I'm talking old school NASCAR fans who were big fans, 90s, 2000s, whoever it is. Dale Sr., Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon. I have seen dozens, if not hundreds of comments from these people saying, Cletus McFarland has brought me back to NASCAR. Cletus McFarland has brought me to watch the ARCA races. These are people who are saying, look, I don't even watch the Cup races anymore, and I watch the whole frickin' ARCA race at Daytona or the whole frickin' ARCA race at Talladega, specifically because of Cletus McFarland. And this dude has 4 million, whatever it is, subscribers on YouTube. It's not just the younger generation that is coming to NASCAR because of Cletus McFarland. It's people of every age group, old school NASCAR fans, families, whatever it is, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I would love to see, actually, Cletus McFarland's YouTube analytics, because we have a much older audience here on the Kenny Wallace YouTube channel. We have a lot of people. Look, Kenny is what? 61 going on 62, I believe. You got the Herman Schrader show. Kenny Schrader's pushing 70. We have a lot of old school NASCAR fans. And we love that, by the way. So our audience is older. It's 45 plus, 55 plus, 65 plus. I would love to see what Cletus McFarland's analytics are on YouTube. I bet you it's a wide swath of all different age groups, because he does fun stuff, man. You saw him at Indy the other day with Tony Stewart and Greg Biffle, you know, racing all kinds of fun cars. They're painting them up. You got monster trucks there. He's just a fun dude that knows how to have fun. And people on YouTube and all over social media love the dude. Let's see. We got, he's 32. Who's that? Who are you talking about? Who's 32 years old? I was talking about Cletus McFarland. Cletus McFarland is the Caitlin Clark of auto sports. That's a good comparison. And that's a compliment, by the way. Caitlin Clark is somebody who transcends women's basketball. Nobody was watching the WNBA or women's college basketball, let's be real, in the type of numbers they were until Caitlin Clark got involved. And she's selling out every game, and the TV ratings are insane when she's in the Final Four, the championship game. The WNBA games that she's playing in, the ratings are just crazy. She truly is bigger than the sport. That's where what Cletus does. Look, here on YouTube, I'm not saying that Cletus is, look, NASCAR is $1 billion business. We all get that. But from a content creation, YouTube standpoint, bringing eyeballs, Cletus McFarland has more followers, subscribers, whatever it is, than NASCAR does. So in a way, he is bigger than NASCAR. But that's all good. He can help NASCAR. NASCAR can help him. They can help each other. I think it's great. Let's see. People are going after each other. Talking about Larson. We got a Larson fan. Larson was looking good. Different car, by the way. I'm so used to Kyle Larson being the one car that you can find on the track, right? With the HendrickCars.com logo. It was different to see him in the Valvoline car. I know they've done that every once in a while, but I feel like Kyle Larson is the one car you can usually find easily. I thought Joey Logano, who you can also usually find in the yellow Pennzoil car, but he had the white. What was his sponsor? Was it AAA Insurance? Let me find this. I'm going to find it for you. Yeah, AAA. I thought he had a sharp-looking car, Joey Logano, when he wins. You had Chase Elliott in the gold Napa car for the 100th anniversary of Napa. That was a cool car as well. By the way, while I have you, so Logano wins, obviously. We'll go top 10. Ross Chastain finishes second. Blaney third. Blaney's going to win a race soon. Kyle Larson finishes fourth, led 90 laps. Joey Logano only led 7 laps. Eric Jones fifth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sixth. Austin Dillon seventh. John Hunter Nemechek eighth. Christopher Bell ninth. Daniel Suarez 10th. So William Byron led 22 laps. Carson Hocevar, your pole sitter. He also had the fastest lap of the race. Carson Hocevar on the pole. Then he goes and wrecks at the end Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece not happy with Carson Hocevar at the end, if you saw those comments. But Hocevar led 22 laps. Austin Cindric led 60. Michael McDowell led 19. Josh Berry led 41 laps. Remember, he kind of spun there as well. Bowman led a lap. Denny Hamlin led 1 lap, and he was out after what? 73 laps for Denny Hamlin. But Joey Logano gets the win, leading 7 laps in that race. Penske going back-to-back with Cindric and Logano. And again, it's only a matter of time, we know, until Ryan Blaney wins a race. Ryan Blaney with a top 3, finishes third, led a couple laps. He's going to win soon here. Penske cars, which have been rolling so well all season, but not getting the results, finally getting the results the last couple of weeks with wins from Cindric and Joey Logano. Going back to the chat here, I appreciate all you guys watching live, 68 of you. We'll repost this on the Kenny Wallace Media podcast as well. Look at people going after Denny now. How many times has Denny choked? I'm a Denny fan. That's Trucker Cowboy Ed. And then Lightning responds, 56 wins for Denny Hamlin, just passing Rusty Wallace here this year when he went. So what, Denny went back-to-back, and then didn't he finish second in the third race? He had that stretch. I should know this. What was that? Was that Martinsville? Was it Darlington? Let me check real quick. I don't have the greatest memory. All right, Denny Hamlin. Somebody help me out on that. Denny Hamlin this year, 2 wins. Come on, NASCAR.com. All right, I'll find it for you. Let me go and check. Denny Hamlin. Stick with me, folks. Stick with me. Okay, Denny Hamlin. So Denny Hamlin, his last win was Darlington this year. Denny Hamlin, 56 career wins, 364 career top 10s, 43 poles. I'm on Wikipedia right now. So let me find Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin. So won at Martinsville. Hey, I was actually right for once. So Denny Hamlin had a stretch there where, look, I mean, he was second at Phoenix, but then he goes 5th at Homestead, wins at Martinsville, wins at Darlington, and then Bristol finishes second. Last couple weeks, not as good. Talladega finishes 21st, and Texas was dead last, 38th there. I just spit on my computer. I was so excited to say dead last. But like I said, I'm a Denny fan in the sense of he's good for business. He's good for content. He keeps things interesting. And also, I think 20 years in, the man deserves a championship. He's a Hall of Fame driver. I'd like to see Denny Hamlin win a championship. Lightning says Denny winning at Kansas over Larson. Let's see. Hold on. This is Kimmy Walrus. Gluck said the race was tainted by the leader having clean air in the field racing in dirty air. I bet the powers that be at NASCAR will fix that when they take Cup to China. All of the air is dirty. Come on now. You think Cup's going to go to China? So you're saying China has a lot of smog and all that, which they do. Let's see. I was actually trying to put up a different comment. That was lightning. Sometimes you guys comment so fast that I go to press it and it already refreshes. Denny winning at Kansas over Larson. Probably two good guys to choose there. Very good chance they go at it next week at Kansas. I love the racing at Kansas. Only about 3.5 hours away from me in St. Louis. I was actually near the track last year at the frickin' Great Wolf Lodge. And you guys have kids? I was at the Great Wolf Lodge hanging out with my kids because they love the water park and all that. And that's right across the street in actually Kansas, not Kansas City, Missouri. It is in the state of Kansas. Great Wolf Lodge is right there next to the racetrack. Let's see. Lightning's. These guys are going back and forth. This is what I love about NASCAR, though. We have a Larson fan and a Hamlin fan going toe-to-toe in the chat. He's choked some, and he has 56 trophies, talking about Denny Hamlin. Let's see. They're kind of saying, who's choked the most? Both Hall of Famers, guys. Can't we all just get along? Let's see. Here we go. We got Jake. Jake Reedon says, very big Kenny fan. Hope to get to see him soon in Quincy, Illinois. But let's go Cletus McFarland. Agreed. Agreed. I think Cletus he's great for business. And just give the dude credit. I've been on YouTube for about 4 years. For anybody to have that big of a following, you're doing something right. I mean, he's doing a lot of things right. He's a freaking sensation. So give him all the credit in the world. Let's see. Monster Shot says, Joey got it done for Chipper. LOL. I talked about that at the beginning of the stream here. Yeah, Chipper Jones did compliment Joey Logano for the win after he went after him last week when Joey Logano was chirping his teammate, Austin Cindric, on the radio. But hey, a little bit of drama midweek. Joey and Chipper going back and forth. But then we can put that to bed. Chipper Jones extends the olive branch. He congratulates Joey Logano after the win. And we can all move on with our lives. Let's see. You're saying, does NASCAR have 2 million fans or 4 million fans? Well, NASCAR has millions and millions of fans. I was talking about specifically YouTube, how many followers Cletus has. I'll look it up right now for you. How about that? Just so you, and I'm not saying Cletus is bigger than NASCAR in the sense of, we all know NASCAR is a $1 billion industry. But my point is, Cletus on YouTube is bigger. So here's Cletus. I'm looking him up right now. Cletus McFarland has 4.3 million subscribers on YouTube. NASCAR itself, NASCAR, the sanctioning body, has 1.44 million. I can't believe I haven't been a subscriber. There you go. I'm subscribing. So now they have 1.44 million, and I just added. But look, that's pretty much dang close to 3 times on YouTube that Cletus McFarland has a 3 times bigger reach on YouTube than NASCAR does. And I'm not going to look at every other platform. And again, we know NASCAR is a $1 billion industry. Cletus McFarland is huge, but I'm talking about his impact with content with YouTube. Cletus McFarland is huge. Okay. Look, I'm calling a truce. They're both great. Look at that. We're getting along. The Denny fan, the Kyle Larson fan. Let's call a truce. Let's all get along. And this guy is saying starts with a letter. Let's see. I'm focused on viewership numbers. Does NASCAR have 4 million fans or 2 million fans? Well, on TV, that you're talking about, TV, NASCAR can get 4 million people on TV. Is that what you're talking about? We haven't seen the ratings yet recently, but yeah, I feel like, I mean, the Xfinity Series races have been getting 1 million lately on CW. Let's see. Kimmy Walrus says, fingers crossed that the ARCA IndyCar guys don't hurt Larson at Indy. Otherwise, y'all are going to love or hate him a lot in the future. All right, let's end on that. About 35 minutes. Thank you so much for jumping in. All of you guys live, guys and gals, I really appreciate it. Good talk. I like to get you involved in the comments. Joey Logano wins, a lot of cautions, kind of a 50-50 type race. Good passing at the end. Logano wins, and Penske goes back-to-back with Cindric and Logano in back-to-back weeks. And next week should be an awesome race at Kansas. Maybe the raciest, the raciest track we have. The next gen car usually great at Kansas and on those 1.5 miles. Although Texas, okay. There it is. All right. Charlie Marlow signing off. Starts with a letter, says, thank you for answering questions. Yes, thank you for asking questions. See you guys later. Love you all. Peace out. End stream. Thank you.